So the team at TechnoDigit, in one of the last releases of Cyclone 3DR, added a floor flatness, floor levelness tool. Now, those tools aren't anything new to Leica's software suite. You can get it in CloudWorks. Cyclone Core had it. However, in this release, they've addressed a lot of the problems I had with the previous reports. Mainly that you're allowed to test more than one area on a slab, and it puts it all into one score, which is a lot more what we do in the real world. So I decided that it's time that I update one of my previous videos about the tools inside of 3DR that you can use to analyze floors. We'll go over 3 different tools in this video. I'll walk step by step through them, and by the end of it, you'll know how to use it. Let's dig on in. So here we are inside 3DR. Obviously, the first thing we need to do is bring in a data set. Now, for this one, I'll be importing an LGXS, and I go ahead and convert it to. For me, there's no reason really to import it then convert it when I can just convert it right off the bat. As soon as it comes in, first thing I do with every data set. Now I will apologize up front. Sometimes the way I recorded this, the pop-up menus don't show up. So like right now, you should be seeing the where I move the point density down and the point density all the way up and the point size all the way down. So the floor that I'm using for this is the only flat floor I have in scan data right now, but it is, as you can see, it's not cleaned, it's not ready for like floor flatness testing, right? There's chords and there's penetrations, and not to mention the fact that this is a rather small footprint anyways, so it wouldn't really be, it wouldn't really fall under the category of testable. There's a lot of penetrations and stuff coming up through, but for this example, it works just fine. So if you go to the analysis tool and you find the floor flatness tool, which is next to all the other slab analysis or surface analysis things. What it's doing right now is it's what is called a region grow, where it selects a couple of seed points and spreads out, and you tell it, hey, if anything differentiates or turns up more than this amount, cut it out. And it does a really good job here. Perfect. That wasn't sped up at all. So that it was real time how long it took to do the region grow. And if you look at it, we have a pretty flat little surface. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. All right, now I need to define the parameters. I need to tell it the testing area and the FFFL numbers. So once I have the area defined, I go ahead and hit next. Now this is what differentiates this testing from previous testing, and Leica software at least. You can test more than one area per report, and it will average them all together, which has been a big thing I've been begging Leica for years. Is we never test just one area of a slab. We always test 2, 3, sometimes 4 areas of a slab. So I'm not going to actually be able to do it on this slab because there's not really another testable area besides this big chunk down here in the bottom. So there's that. Once we define the area that we want to test, we hit next. Perfect. So as you can see, you can either have your lines go vertically or at 45 degrees. And at 45 degrees, you can change which way the lines go. So it gives you some ability to change. Now, one added thing it does here too is it actually creates a heat map right there. So you can say, hey, there are things on the slab that this line's going through. So I'm probably just going to move this one line here just a little bit over because we don't want it to hit that penetration. And let's see how that turned out. hit the wrong button there. So I'm going to hit next. And there you go. It gives you a tag for each of the lines and a number for each one. So if we exit out of this tool, as always, whenever you do an analysis tool, it gets saved up in your legend on the left-hand side, and then it gets added to the report. So let's take a look at this report. First thing you're going to see when it generates here is the image from the flatness testing, which is far better than you'll get from any dipstick tool, really, because you don't really know where they put the lines. With like any other image in the report, you can move it to 3D, you can and change the density, the quality. And as you scroll down, you'll start to get your overall results. Sweet. And then it'll go into the individual line results, which is cool because it gives you a graph. It's obviously an exaggerated graph, but a graph of how each line performed. They've really thought through this, and they've tried to match everything that's in the ASTM standards. It's a well thought out, well done report. So that's it for the FFFL. Like I said, you can add more than one region, which is cool. What I'm going to do next is I want to make sure that we have our other one turned off, the one we just created. So now we have our slab selected, and then I'm going to go into analysis and surface levelness. Surface levelness is your basic heat map. I really like it in 3DR because of the control you have over the colors. Hit preview on every tool. I always hit preview first. Alright, so it gives us a decent heat map, but let's go ahead and edit these colors. Now, you can't see what I'm doing there because it's not showing those pop-ups, but you have different options under the presets. The first one is number of, you can change how many color changes there are in it. The second one is you can change it by every so much distance, an eighth, a quarter, and then there's simple gradient, a tolerance, so you can set it to plus or minus an eighth, and anything above it, and then yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go basic black to my my colors, and then what I like to do is I like to create a custom. So I'm going to find my elevation. I'm going to do an eighth above, an eighth below for green, and then the next color is going to be another eighth going up, another eighth going down, or a quarter going up, quarter going down, whatever I decide. I'm going to go ahead and load one that I've pre-made here. Now, one of the frustrating things I think in 3DR is when you go to set your heat map, you can't control the top and bottom of the measurements. So it does take some messing around with the numbers to get it just right. Even on the preloaded one, it brought the bottom of my testing down. That's not part of the saved setup I have. So I'm just going to twiddle with the numbers a little bit to try and get them down to the to it looks right, to where it looks right. If you look at the graph on the right side, we have no colors this far down anyways, so it's not really hurting anything. All right, there it goes. Perfect. And we happen to cover in that little gray area right there. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to grab the tool that looks like a label up at the top right. It is actually just a label tool. But what I want to do is I want to just go ahead and select a couple of the highs and lowest points just for the report. And you can add as many as you want, but just remember that it's all going to go on a PDF, so you don't want it to be too convoluted. There we go. Once we have our labels, we can go ahead and hit OK. So once we've hit OK, We just, you can move the labels right now to where you want, or you can change the labels. But let's go ahead and move them around real quick, get them nice and situated so where they make sense. Oh, double click there, I didn't mean to. And if you notice that the one I just double clicked on, I happened to change it a little bit on accident. So you're gonna see right now I'm trying to select all of them and it's not letting me edit the labels. See how it's grayed out up top? It's because that one that's different. So I'm gonna unselect that one and now I can edit the labels. Because right now the labels are showing too much information. I only care about the zenith. So I'm gonna leave the level on, boom. And then I'll have to change this one to where it just shows the zenith. Perfect. Then what I wanna do is I wanna go ahead and hit the little, I'm gonna have to drop this down, hit the little magnifying glass. And what you're not seeing right now is update report. So right now, what I'm seeing on my screen will be seen in the report. And I'll go ahead and show you that in the report there. Perfect. I like to always bump it up to 600. And I personally like the black screen. I do wonder though if the people I send it to, if they print it out, how much of that black ink it uses up. Right below there is the table of those highs and lows, and you can actually throw those northingings and elevations into a total station and shoot them out in the field, double check them, you know. All right, so the next tool we're gonna go after, oh, I'm gonna take that tag and move it down to that report because that's where it belongs. And then turn that one all the way off. There we go. Now we're going into surface flatness. Now this tool is the most like the tools of yesteryear. It's much like the original tool for testing floors, which is a straight edge. We used to set it 10-foot sections, set it and see wherever it deviated within a 1/4 inch or whatever the spec was for that time. You know, it's always gone between 1/4 inch and an 1/8 inch. So what this tool does is you have your ruler dimensions, and I have it set to 10 feet right now, and then my tolerance, which is set to an 1/8 right now. And what it does is it divides this slab up into a 10-foot by 10-foot section and checks for the deviations of that distance, that 1/8 inch inside that 10-foot by 10-foot section. Honestly, I believe this is the most true to the original way of testing. We moved away from it because it wasn't repeatable. You weren't able to prove it. But now that we have laser scanning, it is 100% provable and repeatable. You know, so again, I think the tolerance coloring for it is not as useful. No matter what test I do, I still want to see where my highs and lows are and understand why. The thing that I really like about laser scanning is it doesn't just give you a grade. It doesn't tell you, well, you passed or failed. It tells you what's wrong with the slab. It gives you an idea how you could fix it, you know. So you can see it does give us slightly different information here. Not different as far as like, it still has the highs and lows where they are, but it gives us a different set of information as far as like if we wanted to make sure it was perfectly flat. You're actually seeing a lot of sweeping from the finish on this one because I have the tolerance set pretty low. Went ahead and added some tags. And I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I move them around, get them looking nice, and then I love double clicking before I can or should. Select them all, edit label, turn all of them off except for my tolerance there. And there we go. Update my report. I want to get it nice and perfectly centered. And I'll update my report. Let's go ahead and take a look at the report. Now, before I would ever send this out, I would change the reports to have my company logo and titles, and change the chapter names to have the pages labeled well. But this just gives you an idea of what you can do as far as floor testing inside of 3DR. That is one of the things. I just tried to switch it to 3D PDF. It does not like a 3D PDF with a point cloud, so if you want to do a 3D PDF, which people always seem to get a giggle out of, make sure you mesh it first and then throw it in. There you go. Well, there it is, folks. An updated version of the floor analysis tools inside of like a Cyclone 3DR. The floor flatness, floor levelness report is awesome. I'm still not 100% convinced that that is the future of floor testing. We're trying to take millions of points and condense them down to just a few points to make this test work. Whereas laser scanning provides us the opportunity to look at the entire floor, not just a few test sections. So they did a great job putting it together, but I'm still pushing for FFFL numbers to go away. So, till next time.